you should tell your son, Ulben bincha, to your grandson, Et asher italalti b'Mitzrayim, everything that I did against the Egyptians. The question is, no?
Sit over here, we'll translate.
Question is, why does it say be'ozne bincha uben bincha? Why is it ben bincha? Everyone is going to teach his son. Why does it say that you should teach your son and your grandson? Right? It's already your son. Each one has a son. So why do I have to teach my grandson? If there is a son, I'm going to teach him myself. And that son should teach him his son also. And also, why does it say be'ozne bincha? You have to tell him in his ear. What does it tell him in his ear? I mean, of course you're going to tell him in his ear. What else are you going to tell him? His toe?
To make sure that he listens.
Of course he's going to listen. Otherwise, who are you talking to? Not, The idea is that when a person explains the miracles of what happened in Mitzrayim, he has to explain them with so much detail and so much excitement that his son, that's going to learn from him, will absorb it so strong and he will be so happy to listen that he will give it over also to his son. You don't have to say it to your grandson. Thank you. But you put so much kochot into your son that your son has enough to give power to give to your son. Why does it say be'ozne bincha? Because that's why it says in Haggadah that there's all kinds of children. There's 4 kinds of children. There is a Chacham, there is a Tam, there's Rasha, Shenoed Alish'al. There's all kinds of children. You have to say it be'ozne bincha according to what your son is able to understand. You can't tell him a story of magic and he doesn't know what you're talking about. Tell your son that Hashem brought so many big animals to kill the Egyptians, he wouldn't know it. When Hashem opened the zoo, what did he do? You have to say it to him in a way that he is able to understand. That he's able to understand it so good that when he grows up, he's able to say it over that my father used to say this story like this, with all the details of that happened in Mitzrayim. And make it so excited. That's why, you see, people don't understand. They think that the job of the Haggadah is for the children to keep asking the questions. And they run the whole Seder. It's very nice. It's beautiful. But the idea of the Haggadah is that the father has to teach the children exactly all the details of Yetziat Mitzrayim and everything that happened in Mitzrayim. This way, when they grow up, they will have that strong bond with Hashem, and they'll be able to always have emunah in Hashem, so that they can live together a full life. The reason why many children today are having problems and having terrible effects in their lives, it's because they don't have enough emunah in Hashem. If they would have enough emunah, they have a little faith in us, so that everything is from Hashem, they will understand to accept that there is a limit how much we can understand. We can't understand everything. Not everything that Hashem does, we are able to understand. So therefore, if we teach, and to teach our children how to accept certain things, they are able to live happily and able to accept everything that happens. That's Pesach, and Pesach is so strong that it's amazing, like we said the other night, that chametz, the simple chametz, simple bread, that should become, all of a sudden, it should become so asur. A simple bread. What is it? We eat bread the whole year. All of a sudden Hashem says, no bread. Like what's worse? If you ask anybody in the street, what's worse? Chazir or bread? Bread. Hashem said we shouldn't eat it on Pesach, but chazir, who knows what? No. You have to know that bread on Pesach is the worst thing, the worst isur that there is in the world. Hashem made it so asur that it's impossible to understand. And He made it in such a way that even the most minute amount that gets mixed with other foods also becomes asur. And that's why the main thing on Pesach is to make sure that you don't have hametz. That the main thing of Pesach is that the person shouldn't eat chametz. Of course, everything else is important, what to eat, how to eat it, and everything else. But the main thing is he has to keep away from eating chametz. Now, there was a time where the only thing that was asur basically was bread, and anything of the 5 grains, any part of the 5 grains, was asur. Everything else was permitted. However, there came a time where things got mixed with other foods and so on, and then they added the idea of kitniot. Kitniot are the legumes. And because of legumes, so many things became asur on Pesach. A tremendous amount of things became asur on Pesach. Now, you have to understand, the whole idea of legumes started in the 1200s. The 1200s, that means the Rambam didn't even know anything about kitniot. According to Rambam, besides bread, everything is mutar. In the 1200s, Chachamim came and they made asur kitniot. Now, what was included in kitniot? Mainly rice. That's what they made asur. Because rice looks very much like wheat, and it could be used like wheat. You could make loaves of bread, loaves of rice from rice. So it looks like it, and also when they used to sell it, it used to be mixed together in the same area. So some went into the bags of rice, and some went into the bags of wheat. And therefore they made an isur on it. After that, they decided that not only rice, but anything that you could make a loaf with it, or make some kind of a cereal with it, like beans, you can grind them and make all kinds of things with them, also became asur. So even fava beans, all kinds of beans, they made asur. In the 1500s, that's 300 years after they made the isur of kitniot, corn was only in Central America by the Mayas. It didn't exist in the whole world almost. It was brought to Europe, and people started finding out about corn. Then it became a tremendous issue between the Chachamim whether they should make it asur also. Why? Because when they're very small, when they're very tiny, they look like stalks of grain. So should that be also asur like chametz? And they did make it, and they decided that that's also going to be asur. Then it came a time where they were going to make asur also potatoes. Now potatoes, they used to give only to animals. And only very poor people used to eat potatoes. It's not like in America where potato chips and Pringles and all these things became became a treat. Potatoes were not. So then some of the Chachamim decided to fight against it. They said there is no way we're going to let these potatoes become asur. Because since most of the poor people eat from it, it will become impossible for people to have Pesach. Impossible. Because there's nothing else to eat. Matzah was very expensive. The food was very expensive. There's nothing else to eat. What are they going to eat? We, right now, at this moment, right now, this year, there is a big argument about one of the kitniot, so-called kitniot, the quinoa. Quinoa. Right? There are some that say
what is it?
that it's nothing. It's like a little bean, but it grows with all kinds of beets.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with grain, but it comes from South America. It was found in Uruguay and Ecuador and all these places. They decided that it's a good thing to make like a meal from it. And it's like, you could make it like a rice. You could make it like a cereal. So right now, there's a big argument between Hachamim, between the rabbis, in the East, the West, everywhere. Some say there's no problem at all, because it never existed before. So it's not included in the Isur of Kitniot, and therefore there's no problem eating it. And some say, no, maybe it is included. Maybe when Chachamim made the Isur of Kitniot, they included everything that's going to be found later to be similar to Kitniot. It should be all Asur. And that's what we're holding right now.
That's Ashkenaz, no?
The whole question is Ashkenaz, of course. But why am I saying it? Now I'm going to tell you why I'm saying all this. Because eventually, we have the problem. Why do we have the problem? Because everything that you see in the stores that is asur, it's because it has kitniot. Not because it's chametz. Most of the things that we have a problem with, like all the sodas, it's because it has corn. It has corn syrups. And many cans of fruits, cans of vegetables, cans of... in so many ways, in so many things, it has these kitniot mixed in them. And that's how we come into the problem. How do we come into the problem? Really, there's no problem. But since we see lists and lists of this is permitted, this is not permitted, this is permitted, this is not permitted, it comes out that we get all confused. We don't want to look like we don't keep Pesach. And of course, if you don't spend $1 million on Pesach, you're not really doing Pesach. But it's not true. We, the Sfaradim, don't have anything to do with the Isur of Kitniot. Nothing. It never started with us. It never kept up with us. And even those places that did keep some of the customs of Kitniot, that only happened only in the beans themselves, but not in the liquids. Not if you grind them and mix them with other things. And not that even the Ashkenazim should have been permitted. But that they kept asur. Latzet me'asafek. Rav Moshe Feinstein, for example, had a question by peanuts. Now peanuts are also some kind of kitniot, which really they're not kitniot. And that did not become one of our problems. But he wanted to say that the oil, that peanut oil that they make, should be permitted. We for sure don't have a problem with that oil. So therefore, it comes out that all the oils that there is today is really permitted. Because if it's corn oil, it's permitted. It's vegetable oil, it's vegetable oil. If it's cotton oil, for sure it's okay. There's no oil that we're not allowed to use. They're all mutar. Of course, if you have any particular question of what's permitted or not, you can ask. Now, coconut oil, which I don't know, for some reason this year, everybody was asking about it. There's no reason why to say it's asur. It has nothing to do with kitniot. And even the Ashkenazim should be permitted to have coconut oil. Comes out, now, the things that are mixed with the other oils of kitniot are also asur for the Ashkenazim. So it comes out that there is so many items out there in the market that are asur only because of kitniot. And that we have nothing to do with it. Therefore, any soda, the only thing that it has is either corn syrup or anything, or oils, or even if it has all kinds of flavors, the flavors are not a problem at all. Medicines is something that people should know about. Medicines, if a person is really sick and he's prescribed by a doctor to take certain medicines, there's no way that a person should say it's asur. Whether it's Ashkenazim, whether it's Sephardim, there's no way you can answer it because it's a prescription. The food that's in it is not edible. It's even poisonous. It only works for the person that's sick to stabilize his chemistry. But otherwise, there's nothing in it. Now, if the person is not sick and he's taking all kinds of pills, so then there is a question of what pills it is. If it's those bitter pills, there's nothing to talk about that. It's okay. The only problem is when they take syrups. The syrup is tasty. So since it's tasty, so he's really benefiting from it. And since he's benefiting from it, that is not allowed to eat. He should make sure that it's kosher lePesach. Unless the doctor tells him, even though you're not so sick, but I want you to take only this medicine, so even if it's sweet, it's okay. Why? Because he's not benefiting from it. He's taking it because the doctor told him to take it. So then it's okay, even if it has a sweetness to it. So, but there is a difference between medicine and vitamins. Vitamins is a big problem. Vitamins, it's a food supplement. A food supplement, a person takes a vitamin is just to reinforce himself. So instead of eating 10 pounds of meat, so he takes a little pill to give him a little iron. Omega shalosh, and all the examples, all the things that he needs to strengthen himself. But it's a food supplement, it's not a medicine. And since it's not a medicine, that has to be kosher lePesach. Unless, now I'm going to tell you an answer to these vitamins. Unless it's a vitamin that's a combination between medicine and food supplement. For example, ladies that are expecting need a certain amount of supply of iron. And that has special pills. That's a combination between a food supplement and a medicine. And therefore, there are some medicines that came out, some food supplements, that vitamins that came out, that we called the company specifically for that, and they guaranteed us that there is no gluten, there's no flour, there's no grain in it whatsoever. It's made specifically for people that are gluten-free. Thanks to Hashem, there is a whole notion of a problem with gluten-free in the world today. So anybody that has to eat bread, that he was saved from it, because the whole world is concerned with the gluten. So it comes out that many things that are simply kosher, they guaranteed they don't have any trace of any grain at all. That's the good part about the vitamins and the food supplements. So those prenatal vitamins, we've figured 100%, there's no problems at all, and they can have them, and it's kosher. The other question is cosmetics. Cosmetics is that the ladies use, whether there is a question or not. So we explained the only thing that we have to worry about is the lipstick. Because everything else doesn't come close to the mouth. There's no cosmetics that they're going to put in the mouth. So therefore, the only thing that there is the lipstick that's so close to the mouth that they might swallow part of it. But if you read the ingredients that we wrote in the book of how lipstick is made, there's nothing chametz in it. In fact, there's so many beeswax and wax and all kinds of combinations that it has nothing to do with chametz. So there's nothing to worry about even with lipstick itself. So it comes out that all cosmetics and all medicines, there's nothing to worry about.
What about toothpaste?
Toothpaste is also not made from grain, from any grain. If anything, it's made with kitniot, with legumes, a mixture of legumes. And therefore the paste itself, most of the time, is not edible. People don't mean to eat it. And therefore there's no problem at all. Any toothpaste.
But we heard something else that's saying because they may use different chemicals that maybe it's from Chazir or this, so it's better to have like
a
kosher one.
The only thing is that since it's not edible, it's not called asur at all. The only problem is only if you're dealing with chametz. Then you have a problem that you might eat it, that you might chew it, and everything else. And chametz is even a kol shu. If it would be made from chazir, till you get to the isur of chazir, first of all, it has to be at least a chatzi zayit, that it should be isur. And then it has to be that it's something that's edible. And if it's not edible, there's no isur at all. If you take a skin of a chazir, let's say, or fat of a chazir, and you make from it something else altogether, that's not chazir anymore. Or you make leather shoes from chazir's skin. Can you eat the shoe?
No.
You could. It's just I don't know if you're going to be able to swallow it. But it's okay. But chametz is not like that. If you take chametz and make something else with it, it's asur to eat it. You could keep it in the house, but it's asur to eat it. So that's the difference between the other isurim and chametz. It's a big difference. So even if they say they mix, and also, if you notice, whenever you see an ingredient or a reason why you shouldn't be able to eat it, you shouldn't be able to use it, because it may have, maybe, they never say for sure. And if they say, and since it's not for sure, so why do you make me pay more if it's not for sure? If you tell me for sure it's asur, okay, then I grant it. I understand you. You want to make me pay double. You want me to pay triple. It may have. Why don't you find out and make it easier for me? So therefore, whenever they say it may have, it means it doesn't have. And therefore there's no problem. At least not for us anyway. There are ways how to, of course, the kelim, the utensils and the pots and pans and everything else, most people have special sets for Pesach. But the counters and tables and sinks and the refrigerators, that you're not going to buy a new one for Pesach. So how do you make it kosher? Let's say the counter. So the question is, we have a way that we say things. It's kebolo, kachpolto. The way it absorbs, that's the way it's going to give out the isur. When we use a counter, how do we use the counter? How does it become chametz, the counter? How did it become chametz?
It's sofeg.
The counter is sofeg.
No, the grout.
The grout, maybe.
Not the grout, the counter too.
The grout that's in between. That's the sand that there is between the tiles.
If
But-
it's a tile, but if it's
but-
different materials. so
For
it's-
example,
Wood or granite.
if it's granite, if it's marble, what is it going to absorb? To be able to make it absorb, you actually have to cook on top of it. You have to actually cook on top of it. But that's not what you do. What you do is you take the pot from the fire and you put it on top of the granite. And there's no liquid in between the pot and the granite. So what's going to make the chametz go into the granite?
The heat of the pot.
The heat is not asur. The heat is nothing.
I'm going to slice some bread on top of it? Or
Unless you boil bread on top of the granite. If you don't boil bread on top of the granite, there's no isur chametz on the granite. How did it become asur? You know how it's going to become asur? I'll tell you an example how it's going to become asur. You cook noodles, real boiling hot noodles. Then you take them and you pour them on top of the counter. That's how it becomes chametz. When was the last time you did that? Never. So therefore, the counters really never became chametz.
Unless you spill.
Unless you spill. So if you spill, we have another rule. That we go according to Rov Tashmisho. The way you use it most of the time, that's the way it becomes asur. So if every day when you finish cooking your noodles, you pour them on top of the counter, then you're right, it's going to become asur. But if, because by mistake you dropped a noodle, so it's only that little piece of area that became asur. The pot did not make it asur. So therefore, you really don't have to even kasher the granite. But, since of course no one is going to come and eat in your house, if you don't do that, so the most you have to do is make sure to wash the granite with something that's, with a liquid that's
לא למחר כלב.
what?
שלא למחר כביכול. The Windex,
The Windex and all kinds of things.
Stuff, yeah.
And then after that you pour boiling water on top of the granite.
כאילו,
And that even in the grout that's in between, also it's going to become mutar. Because how did the grout ever become asur, even if there is grout? The only way is if you pour real lasagna on top of those grout. And you make sure that you take one piece of lasagna straight from the pot and put them right on the grout. So since it's never going to be there, so it never becomes asur. So there's no reason why you have to kasher the counter, the sink. So people say, no, you wash dishes with hot water, so the sink is going to become asur. How hot is that water? How hot is that water? You have to use your hands. So if you use your hands, you're really not going to make it asur because
when you cook and sometimes you wanna
sometimes
strain the things.
How often?
If you cook a lot, so it happens.
So if you have a restaurant, 24 hours, then you pour the noodles every day. That's the thing.
Oh, here we have garbage disposal and we put foods through it.
Right, it goes right through it.
Yeah.
So it comes out, lechumra, we're supposed to kosher the counters and the sinks by washing them with Ajax or all kinds of things, that all kinds of liquids. And then after that, pour boiling water on it, and it becomes kosher. Because kebolo, kapolto, the way you made it asur, it's going to become mutar. This is the counters and the sinks. Now what about a table? Regular table. Especially if you have a plastic on a table. When is it ever going to become chametz?
Never.
Never. Because there's no way you're going to pour boiling food on top of the table. So even if you put soup in your plate and by mistake you shook a little bit, or there was an earthquake last week, right? And a little bit of soup went off the plate and fell on the table, that's not going to make it asur. So therefore, a table you really don't even have to kasher, but you have to clean it. You have to clean it 100% that you shouldn't have any pieces of chametz. And the same thing with the rest of the things in the house, the chairs, the floors, to make sure that there's no chametz at all in the house. And that's And that's more important than all the foods and all the things possible to make sure that the house is 100% kasher Pesach, that there's no chametz in the house, that there's nothing that's asur, because we have an isur of bal yira'eh or bal yimatzeh. You can't have your own chametz. Let's say you have a friend that's a goy. He says, "Do me a favor, can you watch my bread till after Pesach?" I'm sorry, I can't. The only way you can do that is if you tell me, you know what, that little section over there is yours. You can leave your chametz there. But he has to cover it and close it. You cannot have a chametz that you see, because you yourself might... birds. Let's say a person has a bird cage and birds, and he has to feed the birds. He has to feed the fish. He has to feed the cats. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a mitzvah to have dogs and cats in the house, right? Maybe it's even, maybe it's better not. But I'm saying, but let's say a person has, right? Now that food, today they serve steak and French fries to their dogs. You know, they take them to restaurants also. I don't know if you noticed, some restaurants we have seating for dogs too. You know, we have menus for dogs. It's becoming Hashem Yirachem, right? It's very organized, the world today. Very organized. No children, but 6 dogs. You know, exactly. Everything's perfect in the mind. The mind is perfect. That food is not ra'ul adam, l'achilat adam. A person can't eat it. So therefore, if you can't eat it, what would be the isur of having it? You're not having any kind of real food, a real chametz, that it should be asur. They mix it with all kinds of things. It's not edible for a person. And since it's not edible for a person, you could have it in the house, and you could feed your own bird and fish, and so on. There are some animal foods that has chametz, and you have to watch out for, but that's not included in the fish. Fish food and bird food has nothing to do with chametz. It's not roy lachila, it's all kinds of things. You could just put it for them for the whole week and let them eat it. In fact, when we have leftover chametz, we left it outside, we don't have to worry about it. The only problem that we have to worry about this year, it's amazing, but I don't know what your areas are, but garbage day is Thursday. It comes out that we have chametz all the way from Tuesday, from Monday, all the way till Thursday. And that's in our cans. We have the chametz in our cans. So that's